On the 9th of March 2019, the world head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, delivered a keynote address at the 16th National Peace Symposium hosted by the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community UK. The event was held at the Beth Futur Mosque in London, with an audience of more than 800 people from around the world, including around 400 non-Ahmadi guests comprising government ministers, ambassadors of state, members of both houses of parliament, and various other dignitaries and guests. Prior to the event, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, held a sitting with various journalists and media outlets. During the event, His Holiness presented Dr. Fred Mednick, the founder of Teachers Without Borders, with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Prize for the Advancement of Peace, in recognition of his outstanding work in the promotion of peace in societies around the world. During his address, His Holiness touched on a number of contemporary issues. He mentioned how countries were increasingly looking after their own self-interests, as opposed to acting in a way which benefits the wider world.
Thus, it is imperative that nations and their leaders do not focus only on their own national interests, but consider what is best for the world at large. Dialogue with other nations and communities is vital, and each party should work together with a spirit of tolerance and with the shared objective of developing true and sustainable peace in the world.
His Holiness went on to reference Brexit and mention the rise of the far right in Europe.
Here in the United Kingdom, there is currently a great deal of uncertainty regarding Brexit and the UK's future relationship with the European Union. I made my own views on this topic clear during an address at the European Parliament. While addressing, I said you should make all possible efforts to preserve this unity by honoring each other's rights. The fears and worries held by members of the general public must be removed. I also said, remember that the strength of Europe lies in its remaining united and together as one. Such unity will not only benefit you here in Europe, but at a global level will be the means for this continent to maintain its strength and influence. The starkest example is, of course, Brexit, but in many European countries, such as Italy and Spain, far-right or nationalist, even in Germany, nationalist parties are gaining popularity and winning seats at the political table, through which they are striving to further weaken the European Union and pursuing an anti-immigrant agenda. Hence, where I had hoped for greater unity in Europe, the past few years have witnessed increased division and turmoil.
Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, then spoke on the Islamic teachings of global unity and urged the world to be united in every respect.
From an Islamic perspective, we should strive for the entire world to unite together. In terms of currency, the world should be united. In terms of free business and trade, the world should be united. And in terms of freedom of movement and immigration, cohesive and practical policies should be developed so that the world can become united. Consequently, the Islamic viewpoint is that peace can best be achieved through unity. Yet, regretfully, instead of uniting, we are seeking separation and prioritizing our individual interests over the collective interests of the world. I believe that such policies will and already are undermining the world's peace and security. Furthermore, we must unite in our efforts to end all forms of extremism and prejudice, whether religious, racial, or of any other kind. Where it is clear that people are suffering and that their leaders are not protecting their rights, those international organizations founded for the sake of preserving the peace of the world, notably the United Nations, should exercise lawful and proportionate pressure in order to defend the rights of law-abiding citizens and to push for peace and justice.
His Holiness concluded with heartfelt prayers for peace to prevail in the world.
With these few words, it is my heartfelt prayer that may Allah the Almighty enable true peace to emerge, and may the long shadows of war and conflict that hover above us be replaced by blue skies of peace and prosperity. I pray for an end to the frustrations and deprivation that have plagued the lives of countless people and have fueled devastating wars and grievances across the world. Instead of seeking to dominate others and assert their own rights, I pray that nations and their leaders come to see the benefit of fulfilling the rights of one another.
After the event, His Holiness took the time to personally meet those in attendance. MTA News also spoke to some of the guests to get their views on the event.
What I loved about tonight was that it wasn't a political positioning event, but really in the end, if I talk about teachers and His Holiness talks about the global compact that individuals make, or the invocation about an inner peace, all those really matter. And I have rarely been in a place where that transcends the daily life. Instead of pushing a political agenda or arguing a particular point and therefore demonizing other points. None of that was here. That's why this is an inspiration.
I was very impressed with the speech, and the thing that most impressed me was his call to all nations to talk, to engage in ideas, to share ideas, and to make sure that the world doesn't descend into Holocaust, as he put it. And I think that sharing those values that we all hold dear is very, very important, so that we don't end up, in conflict.
We're always talking about world peace, of course we are. I thought the Caliph's message, His Holiness's message, was more direct and more powerful than I've heard it before. I think what he's done, His Holiness, has picked up that world peace is maybe not in such a good place now as it was even a year ago. And the efforts that we all need to make to bring about greater world peace, those efforts need to be even more than they were a year ago. So I felt his speech was much more powerful and urging us all to do more than we have done in the past.
I think we are reaching a terribly dangerous time. People think war is trivial. It isn't. Believe it or not, as I tell people, I come from a war-torn country. I remember as an Englishman, as a young child, playing on bomb sites, because I was brought up in the 1950s, and it was terrible destruction. And it's not good. Nothing is solved by wars. And His Holiness, his point that we are drifting closer and closer to an Armageddon, literally an end of days. It's easier than you think.
I think what His Holiness was able to describe today was a variety of different threats and different problems and different conflicts. And each one was particularly topical, I thought. As to the potential impact of that, of the subjects discussed, one was nuclear war. I don't think it could get more serious than that. And to remind the attendees of the potential implications of that and the position of world leaders on that subject was useful, and it was welcome in the sense that it opened up a debate even on the table that I was on about those kind of issues, which was not a discussion I otherwise would have had today.
The event concluded with a congregational silent prayer led by His Holiness. Rashid, MTA News.